And I decided to assassinate my own father. And I planned for several days. Kila mara, I had a very sharp panga. Kila mara nikipanga, something, kitu inatokea, ama mutu. Then the police car came. They go to the office of the principal, they came with the principal to our class. And my name was mentioned, plus other 13 guys. The moment you get to the door, chain, kaka, kaka. And I'm still pretending not knowing anything.
Yeah, but you're innocent, Amu.
Yes, Paul, your name has appeared so many times.
Yeah.
And now you have to go and face the law.
As a young man, Paul Ndungu often found himself in trouble. While in Form 2, Paul was arrested and locked up for 6 good months for trying to organize a strike. Paul also says that he has tried to take his father's life several times, but something always stopped him. Now, a changed man, Paul describes what lessons he has gotten from these experiences and how he uses them to inspire youth and want them to stay out of trouble. Welcome to today's episode of My Story. My name is Yvonne Kawera, and this is Paul's story.
Yeah, my name is Paul Gatia Ndungu. I was born in Nyeri, Othaya, brought up there, but later shifted to Nyandarua County. Yeah.
How's life growing up
my life growing up in Nyeri, to me, I came to understand that my father was a millionaire. But to me, when I was born in a very, very poor family. And this thing really disturbed my mind, and I grew up in a very miserable life. Eating was by chance. Schooling was by chance. There was also domestic violence between my father and my mom. And this thing taught me a lot. And on the other side, they were making me get confused on my way. And the reason as to why we shifted from Othaya to Nyandarua, our house was burnt. And the person who was burning our house intended to burn my mother in the house. Right?
Oh my goodness.
And he testified. But by God's grace, my mother was not in the house, because sometimes she could get sick and go and relax in her bed. My mother was not in the house. She had gone for a fellowship because she was a woman who loved God. So akiwa ngambo ile ndiye alikuwa anaona moto inatoka, na sisi tuko kwa nyumba, moto inatoka kwa nyumba. So anajaribu kuitana, the fire is too low. By the time we realized our house is burning, it was almost over. And one of my sister's kid was in the house, but we managed to get her out of the house.
Tell us about life in high school,
My life in high school. Let me start from primary school.
Yes.
I was a very good boy, and despite the challenges in our family, I was still performing. And I decided I must break this boundary of from class 1 to class 6, you're right, class 6, 7, and 8, education elapses. So I decided to repeat class 8. And after repeating, I got a very good marks, and I got a very good national school, and my life started well. Though I did not like the school in the beginning, because my cousin was in the school, and the school name was bad. It's called Kenyatta High School in Othaya. So, and we really fought with my father between going and not going, but I had no option, because if your parent says yes, you don't have an option. So I joined the school, and that is where my life started. And I messed a lot in that school.
What happened?
I messed a lot. But I joined high school. I joined a group from Nairobi, others from in our area, and the group was not good at all, and we started doing bad things. One, I started smoking baggy. I started doing some beer. I started selling baggy. I started reading strikes in school. That is in Form 1.
Form 1.
Form 1. Yani nilikuwa mtoto sugura mjaja. So, and life continued being not fair to me. But when it came to serving God in CU, I could ribasaika and do all things that makes God happy, that nobody realizes I'm a criminal. I was a silent criminal, and nobody could know more about me. Remember, the school was boarding, and I was going home every day.
How are you managing to go home every day?
I was a sugura mujaja, so there are so many ways of
killing
like this building here. Does not have windows. So if you jump through the window, who will see that you jump through the window?
So ni timing strategy.
But what was making me go back home, it was the love that I had for my mother. Because every time when I'm in school, labda mamangu walikwazana na babangu akagonjeka, because she had blood pressure. Na kuna wakati ilikuwa inamshika naona kama atakufa. So that's why I was going home. Na nikienda hata niona. But naenda namuona natulia sasa. Naona ako sawa, then I'm good to go back to school. So that is all that made me not to like about boarding, because I wanted a school where I'd be going in the morning, coming in the evening, see my mother, talk with my mother, and that was all. So I struggled for Form 1 until it was over. Then Form 2, that is where the pressure started. That is why I ruined my life completely. So now Form 2, I became now a baggy yani I was transporting bag to various schools in the compound, within the location. So, and I had a lot of money by then in high school, and I continued that way. Mpaka ikafika second term, we planned a very, very huge strike. And we planned to ban the dormitory and the laboratory and the captain of the school, because he was a very harsh man to us. And it was not easy. And we planned everything. We did a contribution to purchase petrol. And the day came. But that day, I was a very wise man. I was at home. I ran away from school just during that night. I was the people who can tell you, kill this, but I'll not be in the midst. Mimi, evidence yangu is hidden. So I went home, and kama kawaida, I used to come back to school at 5 a.m. So nikakuja 5 a.m. Nikapata watu parade. So I didn't have an idea kiliumana. But kuangalia laboratory, naona bado imesimama. Dormitory bado ziko. Little did I know that my box and my mattress are not in my bed. So after parade, we went to class for morning preps and whatever. So now, then after prep, we went for tea. We went back to class. At around 7, I saw a police car. I said, now is in Avoki, no problem. Then the police car came. They go to the office of the principal, they came with the principal to our class. And my name was mentioned, plus other 13 guys. The moment you get to the door, chain, kaka, kaka. And I'm still pretending not knowing anything.
Yeah, but you're innocent, Amu.
Yes, Paul, your name has appeared so many times.
Yeah.
And now you have to go and face the law. And I said yes, no problem. So it was on a Saturday morning. It was a visiting day. So I expect my mom to come and visit me. Now to her disappointment, she came to school, and Paul is not in school. Paul is in Udaya cell. She came to Udaya. Paul is in Nyeri. So he was transferred from Udaya to Nyeri. So on Saturday, and we were taken to the remand, Rolengo. Yes. So we are waiting for Monday. So mimi, I saw my mother. She came, she followed us. She came and she cried a lot. And this thing made me feel like I can kill myself or I disappear completely. But I said, sasa maji yakimwagika hayasoleki. The water has been poured down, so all I need to do is to stand like a man and face the reality. So, and I faced the reality. So on Monday we went for hearing, and all of us denied.
Yeah, but of course.
And after denying, we were given a board of 5,000 each. To my surprise, all others were paid for the board, but my father said, I will not and I will never. So, and from there, everybody in my family akachana na mimi. So nikapata shuki, tulipeleka shule ukasome, now see what you are doing. Yani nobody wanted to be involved in me. Now there, that is why I decided, okay, mmenitenga sawa. The only person I could see even in the court is only my mom.
She still supported you?
Yes, it is only her. So she could come and tell me, it is well, my son, I'm praying for you. And that was it. Now, that is where I came to realize I have something special in me. It is my third day in remand na nimefanywa mkubwa.
Eish.
Nikajua, and I was a very tiny boy. A very tiny boy. Mpaka madam ule garden wa remand alikuwa ananiuliza, how come you are in this issue and you look very innocent? So now I became their boss. So mimi kazi yangu ilikuwa kujua watakula nini, wataenda kufanya kazi wapi, who and who will go. So I started kukuwa mfalme kwa remand. And my life continued very well up to 6 months. Yes, I stayed there for 6 months. The case is still going on, and hakuna mtu anakulipia board. So the 6 months after kwenda hearing, kurudi, certain spirits came to me. Nifungulie hawa wafungwa, tufunge huyu madam. I was planning to go and join Al-Shabaab. And I did it. Yeah, na nilifanya.
You wanted to join who?
Al-Shabaab. Sasa watu wenu wamekushukia. You don't have a friend. It's only your mother. And you are in jail. You don't know what next will happen. So run for your own life. Go and save your life somewhere else. Freedom is the key. So na tulitoroka jela.
How did you do that?
Si nilienda nikawafungulia and they came and wakafunga huyo madam. Na mimi sikutoroka. But to my surprise, hawakuenda hata bali, wote walishikwa. And they were brought back to the cell. Sasa ile kitu liniokoa, the moment wanarudi, ndio nisijulikane mimi nilikuwa nimewafungulia, nikakujiwa na babako. And the question was, why did you come for me? Nikamwambia, I need to call my mother, I confirm she is alive. Because I really felt that kama unanikujia, it's either death or a very
kitu imefanyika.
Yani kitu very crucial imefanyika inanifanya unikujie. No, he told me, no, I have decided to come for you. I have sat down and thought it is good I come for you. And that was okay. So after coming out, the next hearing, I got myself, all the other 12 have already gotten a wakili, an advocate, so I'm all alone. So when a question is asked, all others keep quiet, I answer alone, and that is how it happened. And this case went for 2 years.
Are you still going to school at this point?
No, me, I cannot go to school by then because everything was interfered with. Now my father is saying that he cannot take me back to school because I'm a criminal. So now I decided to be like a man. Yeah, sasa imefanyika, what do I do? The problem is not falling down. The problem is, what did you do after realizing yourself you're down? Is rise up and walk again. Yes, because you cannot keep there waiting for somebody to come and help you. Start the journey and God comes in. So now I started praying God. Even kama kuna mahali Mungu anatafutwa, sema jela.
Jela.
Huko.
Are you serious?
Huko hakunanga sinners. Huko nilikuwa naomba mpaka bigu, unasikia tayari bigu imefunguka.
People really,
That is where my life was transformed.
wow.
From a criminal now, when I was getting, si unasiaga ni kurekebisha na haki. Huko hakuna mama ya mtu. Nothing. Hakuna mama ya mtu.
Oh, wow.
That is where my
That's
life got
interesting.
transformed. So, now nimetoka. I go all the way to Nyandarua County. And after 14 days, I'm expected to the court without fail. I'm not working. My father is not giving me fare. So aliniambia sasa wewe umekuwa mwanaume. Ingia kwa uwanja. And he gave me a jembe. Na nimelima Nyandarua. Nimelima. And from 2 a.m. to 4 p.m. I was being paid for 75 shillings. Now tell me, every day. And 14 days I'm going to court. I need 1,000 shillings. And that 1,000, I'll work for 30 kilometers so that I can be able to budget for that 1,000. 75 times 14. So that is how life was. So I talked with my brother to my father. He lives in Nairutia, and he said, you can come and stay with us, no problem. When I went there, we started life. Started burning shako, transporting them with the punda, and for the last 12 to 14 months, no, 12 to 14 months, I stayed with him. And because he was a retired headmaster, he used to tell me, one day, my son, after this is over, I will take you back to school.
Wow.
I was seeing a good future, I was seeing a very good future in that. But devil is a liar. And we continued with the case up to the time of judgment. So this time, I was burning shako and selling them in Nyeri. I remember one morning, the 2 days before the judgment day, niliweka makaa kwa barabara, nikarudi kwa nyumba kusheji. When I was coming back, that police car came and took all my shako, and I was like, God, I'm done. 50 bags, I'm done. I said, I'll quit this one. I'll try others. So now that morning I was going for the judgment. The car that used to pick me at around 5:30, I missed that car. And the next car would come at around 7:30. And at 8, we are supposed to be in court. So that morning, I was late. And that day, before the judgment day, I fasted, dry fasting, the very first day. Na nilikuwa naambia Mungu, I want to know you. If you fight this battle for me, then I'm for you. If you don't fight, I'm for Satan. That was an agreement between me and God. So now, gari imeniasha. The other is coming at around 7:30. So I'll get nearly at around 9:30.
Already late.
So picking and dropping. And nikafika late. And I found they were called for the first time. To my surprise, the judge said, that man comes from far. And I'm not doing any judgment until he realizes. Sasa, after kufika majamaa ananiambia, my friend, warrant of arrest had been released. Nikaambia, I know, that's why I'm here. So don't get worried. So at around 10, we were called back. Now their judge disappeared. Their advocate disappeared, did not appear. So I was their advocate. Yes. Sasa hiyo nimejawa na neema. The power of God that was with Moses has come down. God, you know, we planned and we did not make it. But it was two-way traffic. You get jailed for 10 years or you'll be freed.
Yeah.
So that day I declared, God, I declare spirit of confusion to this man because we have suffered for 2 years. Now 2 years are over. Now we get we get jailed for 10 years. That is a wastage of time. And the case was like, if you want to to appeal and
Varungi.
case with your principal, you're good to go. And that is how our case ended.
Free
And
mind.
from there, yes. And from there now, the spirit of Lucifer entered into my life. That day, my father went. That day, he came to me in the court because of the board money, so that he can take the money. So then, after taking the money, he just gave me fare and told me, "I'm coming." He did not come home that day. He went and drank all the money. So now my idea of going back to school went like that. And that, with that nikashindwa, what do I do? So I stayed with him for 3 months, doing farming, helping my mother. Siku moja, he came home drunk. Anisomea, nikashindwa, my God, me, hapana. Hii haitawezekana.
So, nini mlikuwa mnagombania?
You know, he was just telling me that I'm very stupid. Nilikupeleka shule ukasome. Yani, those kind of
like you're disappointed.
irritating things, yes. So I woke up, Mwambia, Dad, enough is enough. I've had you enough. Kindly go to bed and sleep. Otherwise, it will not be business as usual.
You told your father that?
Yes.
Did he take it kindly?
He had no option. He just went to sleep. Then the following day, he did the same thing.
Kelele tena.
Hey, nikafika mahali nikaona wewe mzee. What you are doing will not end up in a very good thing between me and you. And I decided to assassinate my own father. And I planned for several days. Kila mara, I had a very sharp panga. Kila mara nikipanga, something, kitu inatokea, ama mtu. Hiyo kitu ikanisumbua sana. There was that spirit that was haunting me of killing, yani just killing. And I remember my firstborn brother killed himself. And he left a legacy of killing himself. And I said, Sasa, that was first generation, I'm the 10th generation. Kuna kitu haiendi vizuri. He had written a letter, of which up to date sijaipatiwa hiyo barua. We were very good friends. He used to care for me. He used to provide for me. So even up to now sijaisoma hiyo barua. So that story, wakati iliingia kwa akili yangu, alijiua, akaacha legacy ya kujiua. That is when I changed my mind. Nikaona hapa kuna kitu haiendi mrama. No, he was the third born. That generation, 10th generation. So in between, there are 7 people. Number 7 means completeness. So that one taught me that all the problems were over, but I want to bring back the problems. And that is how I changed my mind. I took myself as a first generation, no, as 7th generation from that generation. Yes. And I took my mind and I said, one thing I'll do, I'll run away from home and come back a better man. Yes. Nilitoka tu hivyo. Ile nguo nilikuwa nimevaa nilitoka hivyo. For 3 good years. Hakuna mtu alikuwa anajua kwenye niko. I just started life as a man. Because masomo imekata. What do you do? Do you stay there? Because niliona nikiendelea kukaa na baba yangu ataenda tu. Na nitaozea jera. So I decided to go and think otherwise. Then I come back with something that will bring glory into our family. And that is what I did. For 3 years, I started life in Nyeri. I left them in Nyandarua, I came to Nyeri. I started hustling. Paka nikabadikwa jina Hasora. I recorded the song by the name Hasora. So that is how life started. And there, 2008, I joined Oasis of Love Church. That is where I realized myself.
Wow.
But the thing of getting born again was on 8 August 2007. That is when my case was terminated by the judge. And that night is when I got saved. So hata nikifanya hizi vitu bado nimeokoka, lakini kumbuka kuna kitu inakuvuta. So and when I joined that church, nikakuwa kiroho sana. I was employed as a jamba boy
at the church.
Yes. Used to do gardening the compound of our bishop, then doing a sound technician in church, playing keyboard, morning glory, lunch hour, evening revival meetings. So my life sasa was transformed to a full-time minister and a gardener for like 4 years, not 3 years. So now from there, I decided, I had a mother. Maybe alikufa na sijaiambiwa, because by then hakukuwa na simu. I think my first phone was Motorola C113, that Cafish. So yeah, so I could try and get my father's number, but I could not remember it. Yeah. So I decided, let me go back home and see how my mother is doing. I went home and my mother was very happy. She was very happy that the son is back. So, and she cried a lot. So then from there I told my mother, I'm going back to where I was. And I will not come the way I am again. You just keep praying for me. As I also pray for myself, na mbingu itafunguka. So now, I came back.
How was the relationship with your father when you came back? Did you try to mend fences?
We were still not talking. Yes, we were still not talking. I had a lot of guiltiness. Na hasira mingi sana na yeye. Because I was seeing he caused my life a lot of pain. And after coming back, I came to Nairobi and I started kazi ya mijengo here. And life continued like that. Up the time now, Mungu alinisaidia niende niongee na babangu. And I went first time, nikamuuliza, tell me what has been wrong with you. Mara ya kwanza akakataa. Mara ya pili akakataa. At that time, alikubali tukae chini and we talked. And he told me some years back, baba yake mdogo alimpata kazini. My father was an accountant, chief accountant in Nyeri municipality. And this man akamwomba 100 shillings. Do you know that is all what costed my father's richness? 100 shillings.
How?
Igana limwe.
100.
When he gave out that money, and I'm advising you, be very careful with your money. 100 shillings costed all the riches of my father, from a millionaire to a beggar. Right
What
now,
happened?
my father, maybe he can call you and tell you, give me 500, 200, 1,000. That is, and he had very big investments. So this 100, it was meant because watoto wake hawakuwa na kitu and they had nothing. So he was jealous of my father being the firstborn in the family and he has got investments.
Yeah.
So from there, he tried to kill my father. Alimpata na panga. Kwenda kumkata, somebody knocked the panga and the panga fell down. So
This is your dad now telling you all this?
hiyo hata mimi nilijua, sio dada aliniambia. But the case was, hiyo nilikuwa akitaka nyumba kuchomeka, I was a bit grown up. So siku moja nikawapata mahali. Our shamba was like on a hill. Then kuna somewhere you can rest katikati ya majani chai. So walikuwa wamekaa hapo. So na mimi nimetoka home, nimesikia watu wakiongea. So nikasikia, wewe tulikuwa tumepanga umalizie mtu tuongeage baadaye. Kwa nini ulidelay? Na mimi nikawapokea nikawaambia, sasa from today nimejua. Na ile siku nitapata babangu na scratch. You'll face us. Sisi tulikuwa tukishikana, tulikuwa dume. So we could hear our father shouting on the other side of the river. Tunateremka kwa mto tunamkujia. tunampatia security mpaka kwa nyumba, because despite if he is drunk or mad, he was our father.
Yeah.
And that from that day they developed the fear. And our grandfather said, you must shift from there because I don't want to come and bury you. So now let's go back to the 100 shillings.
Yes.
The moment my father told me that, nikajua hapa kitaeleweka. Nikaingia kwa mlima. I was breaking every evil altar. And mind you, after 1 month, the man died. Yeah? The man died.
Okay, was it a natural death or?
Sinikulala tu na huamuki. Don't joke with God. Lakini kutoka hiyo siku, as we talk today, and things have changed. Things have changed.
How is the relationship with your dad now?
When I told my dad, it's okay, you have told me the secret, and I'm back, and things have started taking possession. So now, forgive me all the wrongs that I've ever done to you.
Wow.
And I respect your father as a father, and I want us to walk a journey of faith together. And my father blessed me, and it was over. He never knew that I had planned to kill him. Nobody
Didn't
knew.
find out?
No, because kila time nikimtokea hata kama ni kwa gate, I could pretend I'm slashing there.
But your plan was to kill him.
Yes, something that he could not see me. I was planning to attack from behind, so that he could not realize it's me. Yes.
And you never told anyone else this?
I never told anyone. I never told anyone about the case.
But after
Because I was left the only person in the family, au wengine wametoka, so mimi ndio niko. Yes. And by then, nobody could go beyond. Now, right now it's called Nyandarua County. Hakuna mtu angetoka Nyandarua County until the time I raised an altar in our family. Kila mtu ako kila mahali, and God is doing wonders. Yes, God is bringing restoration and revival in a very big way. Yes.
From your story, someone who is watching out there, and they're probably having a strained relationship with their parents, not just one parent, what advice would you tell them? What would you tell that child who is struggling with a strained
Sometimes
relationship?
it takes both parties to calm down, because a family that prays together lives together.
Yeah.
So come back to your senses and listen like one people of one blood. Because if you do not listen like that, I don't see you going anywhere. Now remember, when these things come from a father to son, it is a continuous thing.
Yeah.
So it will affect up to the 7th generation. So from 7th generation, it will start again. Yes.
What are some of the things you're doing right now to try and, use the lessons you learned to make your life better now or other people's lives better?
One, I'm a youth mentor.
Good.
I talk to youth, colleges, universities, you'll get me there. The other thing, I talk with families. There's a time I was having a couple seminars. The other thing is that I pray a lot for people, even without knowing about you, but my body is interceding for the family members and people who may go through what I went through, because everything that you go through, it is a testimony of tomorrow and can help you save a life or help somebody else. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So right now, given all these challenges that you went through, and now that your relationship with your dad is mended, would you like to tell him something, right now when he watches this video? What would you want him to know about you right now? What message do you have for your dad?
One thing.
Face that camera.
One thing. My dad knows I'm a church boy, and he is ever proud with me in terms of transformation and restoration of our family. After being despised in our family, today, karibu hata paka akikufa niitue mazishi. Hakuna kitu inaweza endelea nyumbani kwetu right now as we talk. Without my availability, without my advice. Yes. So my dad is proud with me now, and we have bonded. We work together. We counsel each other when it's needed. We support each other, and that is it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
But the message for your dad, what will you tell him? Your son is a changed man. Your son loves
Daddy,
you. Unajua kwa Afrika tusemangi hizi mambo.
I'm transformed. I love you. I will support you. I will walk with you in terms of difficulties and in terms of goodness. I salute you for being a good dad.
This is nice. Wow.
Yes.
Now, kwa that youth ambaye angetaka ku reach out to you, na anataka advice, maybe how to maneuver life, probably ako high school ama university na ana struggle na all these peer pressure things. Anaweza reach aje?
One thing that is affecting our, so unaona kama this time around shule zimeshomwa sana. Our time was not like this. One thing I could advise to a parent, bring up a child in a manner, not in a mannerless manner, but in a manner. Because nowadays is daddy's girl, mommy's boy. That's one will bring. That is why you see them doing crazy things, misbehaving like that. Because kama kuna wakati hata bagi na pombe na sigara zimefutwa in our generation, it is now.
It's now.
It is very dangerous. So sometimes I tell somebody that your life is in your hands. It's either you take right or left. And left most of the time is a failure. And right, sometimes it takes you somewhere. And avoid influence.
Yeah.
Avoid bad companies. Bad companies ruin good companies. Be afraid to God. Worship. Yani, make all your plans with God always. Work with God always. And with that, you're good to go.
Good.
Yes. Yeah.
Mtu akitaka kukureach atakupata kwa namba gani? You can share.
My number is 0728 038 075. 0728 038 075.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, tunashukuru sana
Karibu.
for welcoming us in Voisambu, for giving us your story, important life lessons that you have gathered throughout your experience, and for your willingness to share these lessons with the world. So we appreciate you and we thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying with us till the end of the show. My name is Yvonne Kawera, and until next time, keep it to go.